there everyone, it's Carol here. I just wanted to share with you this needle case that I've made using one of my digital kits, and I'm going to show you how to go about making it. I've just decorated the front up with some flowers, and there's a needle here with some thread coming off of it, some leaves on it, and then there's a little hairband to just hold it closed, and when you open it up there's an area here to keep your needles in, and I've added a pocket on mine, but in the video I'm going to give you a variety of different options that you could actually put here. Really simple to make, really nice and quick and easy, and a great place for storing your bookbinding needles. And of course it makes a lovely little travelling companion if you're going away somewhere. So let's get on to how I went about making this. So here's the materials that I've used to make this little needle case. So it's from one of my own digital kits, which is the vintage book covers, and this was page 1. So it's got these two small book covers on it, and these were the background pages. So what I've done is I've printed the book covers themselves onto a thin, lightweightish card. So this was 160 GSM that I've used. Then I've printed one of the background papers also on 160 GSM card, and I've printed the same background paper but on 120 GSM paper. Okay. I've also got this piece of card, so it makes that noise when you wobble it. And this is about a 300 GSM piece of card, and I've also got some 12mm magnets. Now I'm using 3 in mine. You can use however many you want. Now you could also use the magnetic sheets that we get to hold our dies, but this is not as strong as using these magnets, okay? And there is a right side and a wrong side. So if I put it on the wrong side and put the needle on and then lift it up, the needle just falls off. If I turn it over and put the needle on the other side, it holds it, but it isn't, see, it rolls as soon as you move it, but it isn't as strong as these magnets here. And this is one of the thicker needles that I've got. So you can use it, but it's not quite as strong. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this blue one. So if I line the edge of the printing up with the wire, and the reason why I'm using card instead of paper to have printed this on is because I'm going to be putting several layers together so that it makes it really nice and firm. Now I left the spine on. The reason why I put the spine on this in the first place was so that you could fold it at the spine to make a spine, surprisingly, but it's then the space that you can then add your signatures. In this instance I don't need it because I'm just going to be folding this basically in half, but it doesn't matter because it only encroaches on the front and the back cover just slightly, so I'm just going to leave it as it is, as one single piece. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this to my firm piece of card. So I need to make sure that I've got the glue as close to the edge as I can. And you use the glue that you've got, that you prefer using. It doesn't have to be the same glue as mine. And then I'm going to line it up down in this corner so that I've only then got 2 edges to cut. You could do this on your paper trimmer. I just prefer to do it with my scissors sometimes. And I'm just going to wait for this glue to dry out, and I'm going to put it on my scoreboard and score down this centre point down here. So that's my booklet now nicely folded in half. And I'm just going to cut off all the white edges around this paper. Just to make it easier to handle. And this is the 160 GSM, so the thicker of the 2 pieces. And then I'm going to fold it where this crease line is here. So that I can see it. And then I'm going to fold it the other way and then burnish it. Because I want that crease line to fit on top of the crease line of the cover itself. Now I'm also going to cut out the paper one as well, but I only need 1/2 of this paper. And this was the piece that was printed on the 120 GSM. So I've now got my 3 pieces. This one I'm going to stick on this back cover. So I need it to be the same width as the back cover, but 1/2 inch taller and 1/2 inch lower. So I need to cut this down to size. So I'm going to do it to 5 inches. It's just over 5 inches, but I'm going to do it to 5. And then 1/2 inch longer at each end. So that is... so if I just do that and then add 1 inch on, Carol, that'd be easier, wouldn't it? So that's 3 7/8. So if I cut it to 4 7/8, that'll be right. So I want the pattern going the same way as this. So I'm going to turn it on its side and cut that to 4 7/8. 4 7/8. And the width I want to 5 inches. Okay, let's get rid of all these bits. Now this piece that I've just cut out, I'm actually going to glue it on that way round. Okay, and I'm going to butt it up near to the spine, but not on the spine, and making sure that I've got 1/2 inch extending beyond the top and the bottom. So if I put glue just on this back cover, and with my collal glue I've got enough time to flip it over and manoeuvre it so that it will fit on there all nice and lovely. So as with all things metal, I do like to use my Glossy Accents. So I want to line up my 3 magnets. Now as I say, it could be a strip of that die magnetic piece. So I want one in the middle, but I don't want them right the way up to the edge. I want them in sort of the middle, so about there. So they're about halfway down the depth of the cover, and the 3 are going to be lined up there. And I'm just going to put a little dab of the glue on there to hold that in place. They're attracted to each other. And then I'm just going to put a little piece of micropore across the top to hold them in place. I don't need to, but I'm going to. It'll just prevent them from sliding around and being attracted to each other. Next step is to cover the whole of the inside cover with this piece of card here. So we know that the depth is, if you get the ruler the right way around, the depth is 3 7/8. So that's the depth that we need it to. And the whole length of this is 10 1/4. So 3 7/8 by 10 1/4. 3 7/8 by 10 1/4. 3 7/8 is the depth. And I always make sure that I line it up with this middle measurement as well. 3 7/8 by 10 1/4. Now obviously I want to keep this in the middle. So from this edge to the centre is 5 1/16. God, such awkward measurements, Carol. 5 1/16. Oh, do it that way. That's easy, isn't it? 5 1/16. Up there. And cut that off. Now I can stick that on so that it's the right way round. And that will sit in there. Now I'm not worried if I've got a little bit of that middle board showing, because I'm going to ink up around the edges anyway, and then I'll just leave that to dry. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold those 2 edges up and over over, so that I've formed a little flap top and bottom. Now I'm going to ink up all around the edges. I still haven't folded this in half yet because I want to make sure that that glue is completely dry. But because it's now a flat piece, it just makes it so much easier to ink up. And I'm going to ink both the front and the back, or the outside and the inside. That's that now all nicely inked up, but what I'm going to do is these two flaps, the one at the top and the bottom, I'm just going to taper them off. Let's use my little scissors, just so as they don't catch. And then ink those up as well. My needles then will attach themselves to the magnets. And this is just purely for my bookbinding needles. And then these little flaps will just mean that if for whatever reason the magnet stops working, it will just catch them in this little fold here. And it prevents you from stabbing yourself and losing your needles. And then for my closure, what I'm going to do is I have some hair bands here. So I'm just going to stick a hairband over the end to just keep it nicely closed. Now there are options with this. So you have this inside cover here with nothing on it. You could make from these leftover pieces a little pocket to put on the inside. What you need to remember though is if you're going to put something like your scissors in there, that will end up attracting to the magnets. So, you know, you need to sort of just think about that a little bit. The other thing that you could do is get yourself a piece of felt and just trim it down and just glue it at the top edge and maybe add some pins on there, but again the pins will attract to the magnet, so it'll hold the two pages together. So you just need to have a little think about that. If you do decide to add the little pocket in here, rather than, as I say, adding the metallic things which will attract to the magnets on this side, you could put in a little spool of dental floss, because dental floss can also be used to attach your signatures to, because it's really nice and strong and doesn't break. So you could do a little spool of dental floss to put in there. There's also dental floss threaders, in case you haven't seen these before. And they're basically for if you can't thread your needle very well. I don't know if you can see that okay. It's a little piece of plastic that's folded in half. Let's just pull off a piece of this dental thread so that you can see. And grab a needle. So you would put your dental floss, which is easier to thread through the needle, and then put your thread through the floss, okay, and then pull that through and it threads your needle up for you. And because it's plastic, it's not going to adhere to the magnets on the other side, so you could put a packet of those dental floss threaders in there. You could also get yourself a small piece of beeswax, so if you don't use maybe the dental floss and you've got a little spool of linen thread in there and a little piece of wax, then you could run your thread through your wax if I could speak properly, to then go and bind your books. So there are alternatives to having metallic items on this side, and then, as I say, you could add a piece of felt on this edge if you wanted to as well. But I just thought that it was a nifty little way of keeping your needles nice and neat and safe. You can make these flaps longer as well if you wanted to, and then obviously you can decorate your cover to your heart's content. So in the description box below, I have an Amazon affiliate link, so I'll try and find all of these things on Amazon and I'll add them into my Amazon shop so that it makes it easier for you to find them. And of course you can decorate up the front cover as much as you like, so you could add a little picture on there, a little pair of scissors, maybe cut out a pair of paper scissors, put some flowers on there. But you know, it's entirely up to you what you then do with it, and it actually makes it a nice neat size that if you go travelling anywhere, then you've got somewhere safe with all your needles in. And that's it really. Hope that's given you a few ideas. Thank you for watching the video, and hopefully you'll subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up and comment in the comments below. Don't forget to have a look at the links in the description box, because you'll find all sorts of things down there, and I'll see you all again really soon. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for now. Bye.